I'm going to float out another person, another loser for free agency.
Okay.
Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. And here's the thing. I know KD had a lot to say this weekend about people putting his name out there in the ether. But I don't know how we look at what's happened over the last couple of weeks and think that Kevin Durant is not a loser. Because the Phoenix Suns just aren't good enough as constituted. And if Kevin Durant can't get back to championship contention, then all of a sudden we're going to start framing his career a lot differently, even though he does have 2 NBA Finals MVPs and he's got 2 championships.
That's Chris Canty from ESPN Radio on yesterday's program when they were going over winners and losers in NBA free agency.
Again.
Yeah, that's exactly the definition of hitting the Kevin Durant button to get some sort of reaction. Kevin Durant is a loser because the Suns didn't do much in free. Guess what? Newsflash, Canty. They weren't able to do much. They put their eggs in a basket. They went all in. They're still all in.
They don't think they need to. They don't.
But for that to fall on Kevin Durant as the loser, it's just ridiculous. Man, KD was onto something. That's just ridiculous.
You're like, oh, his legacy is going to be affected, and then he has to go, well, even though he won multiple championships and multiple championship MVPs, yeah, that is part of his legacy. I don't know how you can look at this offseason and not think he's a loser.
So here we are on July 9th. We're more than a week into NBA free agency. We've had some big trades. We've had the draft behind us. We've had free agent signings all over the league. So independently of each other, we kind of went I put teams into 3 categories.
Okay.
And we'll focus on the Western Conference. Teams who we think got better.
Yep.
Teams who got worse. Mm-hmm. And then teams who are kind of neutral. And I'll start with neutral, and I'll start locally. While I believe that Mason Plumlee and Monte Morris offer upgrades, I'm not willing to say that that is undoubtedly the Phoenix Suns getting better. I think most of it is pinned on how Mike Budenholzer can work with this group. But I feel very comfortable putting the Suns in the neutral category.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Come on, the count of Monte
Assisto.
He's going to make the turnover problem go away.
Assistio, yeah.
Yeah, I like the moves. I think Bud, if that's the move, I mean, I guess if anything, I might put him in better because of their coach, but we're talking about player acquisitions here, right?
Yeah, so I didn't consider
really look at
coaches.
it that way, but I think they are in a better spot. But I think overall neutral because of personnel to me is neutral. To me, it's just these guys have got to. There's got to be some soul searching too.
Yeah.
But I think again, Chris Canty is like they don't really need another superstar player. I don't. I think at this point that not only could they not do that, is that not feasible? But I mean, I don't think they need that. They just need the guys they have to be more cohesive. They need to cut down on the turnovers. They need to play better defense. They had a decent regular season, didn't feel like it because they just didn't play with a lot of joy. I need more joy.
That's what we need is more joy.
How much can you pay for joy in free agency? Okay.
All right, so we're agreed Suns are in neutral.
Yes.
I had 6 other teams in the Western Conference in the neutral category.
Okay.
Minnesota. Still a good team.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot to fix.
Didn't have a lot to fix.
On the uprise also.
And they lost Kyle Anderson and Monte Morris, who were rotation players at different points. The Lakers have done absolutely nothing other than add Bronny James, Dalton Connect, and a new coach in J.J. Redick. Houston, they have had a pretty quiet offseason despite all the rumors about Kevin Durant. Utah, again, not... And they could change the entire. The next piece that could fall in the NBA is a Lowry Markkanen trade, and that could affect the power structure in either conference because I think he's that good.
Yeah.
Memphis, I think, is neutral, but they're going to be so much better because I don't think I've ever seen a team as ravaged by injury as the Grizzlies were last year. And Portland, but they don't matter.
Portland is the Charlotte of the Western Conference.
I only have on my list, Jody, 2 teams who I think took a step back, and they're both playoff caliber teams. The Denver Nuggets took a big step back. Letting KCP go over money.
A bad move, yeah.
Bad move. They did draft Deron Holmes. They did sign Dario Saric, but they also lost Reggie Jackson, DeAndre Jordan is a free agent. I don't think they got better. I think
KCP is a loss
step back
for sure. Yes.
And I think the Clippers, as we talked about earlier, Paul George getting away from the Clippers when he wanted to stay there, and from his side of the story, sounds like he did a lot of flexible things to help the Clippers keep him in LA, and they didn't do it. They're not as good. So here's where we get to the meaty part of it.
Meaty, let's get to it.
Teams who got better. I have 6 of them. 5 of them are playoff caliber teams. That's tough. I think Oklahoma City, Dallas, New Orleans, Sacramento, and Golden State. Yes, Golden State, even losing Klay Thompson, I think they got better. And I'll put San Antonio in that mix too, although I don't know if they're ready to contend for a playoff spot just yet.
See, I don't know if they're ready to contend, but I love what them getting Chris Paul to me is great on so many levels. Number one, he could overperform, I suppose, people that think maybe, obviously it's so close to the heart here with the Suns because I think we all have such appreciation for what he brought.
Yes.
And many people probably wish he could continue bringing it. Although, again, as we saw especially as the season went on, we saw him fade a bit. As you get older, that happens to people. So, but I think the leadership aspect is huge for Wemby and the whole group. There is a group that, like you said, is on the rise. So I love that move of Chris Paul to the Spurs.
They also got Harrison Barnes.
Yes.
Who's going to help them?
Harrison Barnes will help them for sure. Klay Thompson to the Mavs, I really like as well because even though it's so weird to see him leaving Golden State, there again is a guy. Is he going to overperform? I don't know. I don't necessarily think so, but I think he'll be a good piece, and it's going to be interesting to see how. Again, when you see a guy with one team for so long and you just identify him with that team, it's going to be weird to see him go over there. But I think he can be an important piece.
And look, they made the NBA Finals without him. Mm-hmm. So they already were a really good team. You said you had 6 teams. How many teams did you have?
6 teams who got better. And there's one. I'm looking at New Orleans, and New Orleans might be a team because there's a lot of turnover.
Why?
I like the DeJounte Murray addition. Okay. If you look at what they've lost, they lost a lot of rotation players. Dyson Daniels is gone. Larry Nance Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, Najee Marshall, all gone. So that will affect them, but maybe I'm putting too much stock in Murray. Maybe that should be neutral, even though.
Well, the thing is,
when you said New Orleans, I was just kind of wondering why, but that explains it. And by the way, does anyone pronounce these names any better than Vince Marotta?
No, he does it for a living.
I know.
He announces
It's impressive.
NBA players' names.
I used
that
to be,
is not my
covering
living.
the Coyotes forever. I was pretty good at hockey names, but I don't.
That's way more impressive.
Yes,
well,
those
not
have a lot
really.
more.
I feel like the hockey name. No, the NBA names. If you go to the international names, some of them are way more difficult, way more syllables than hockey.
I don't
trust
know.
me.
Vince nails the tennis names.
Yeah,
which
that's
scare me
the most impressive.
But I
It's
also
just, he's an order.
No, I full admission, I cheat. When a tennis name comes up, even though we only talk about it in the splash, I look for videos or audio, like them pronouncing their names. I don't like to get names wrong.
I don't think that's cheating. I think that's doing your due diligence.
Jack Sock. That's the only one I know. So, but there's
Tommy Paul.
There's so of the teams that you had in your getting better, 4 of those teams last year were below the Suns in the rankings. And that's sort of the fear of if the Suns are in fact a neutral team.
What did you do with Sacramento?
Then not only are they going to have to be competing with the teams that were already better than them last year, they're now these 4 teams below them that got better.
I think Sacramento got better.
Better, yeah. I agree.
They're in that mix.
Agree,
I mean, you add DeRozan, they got Jalen McDaniels. He's the second best player in his family, but he's still pretty good. And I love their draft pick of Devin Carter, the guard out of Providence. And really what they lost from their rotation was Harrison Barnes, who, again, was a big contributor to Sacramento, but I think they got better.
And of the teams that got worse that were ahead of them, the Nuggets, even though they got worse,
they still have Nikola Jokic.
I still think they're better than the Suns.
They might be.
The Clippers are the only one that I would put on paper that they are leapfrogging the Suns this year.
Yeah, because the Clippers were what, the 5 seed?
They were the 4 seed.
4 seed.
2 games better than the Suns.
Yeah, but I mean, Paul George makes a two-game difference.
It's also a full season of James Harden.
Did you do the East as well?
I mean, I couldn't get past the 76ers really, I think the Knicks, I already really like the Knicks. And
I think
they have
they're
Mikal Bridges now. So I kind of just focused on just pretty much, Paul George going to the Sixers. I think that's a terrific move. And then Mikal Bridges helps the Knicks, who are already, Brunson is great. So.
Yeah, and I would put Orlando in that mix too of a good team that got better. The other teams that got better were just horrible. Charlotte, Detroit, Washington, I think got better too. But again, who cares?
Exactly. And Miami, I'm kind of I'm a Suns fan, and then Miami would be my team from yesteryear when I was a kid growing up there, and I think they're kind of neutral. I mean, they re-signed some of the guys they kind of brought back a few guys, and
I put them teams who got worse, but I have slightly worse. They were trending towards neutral for me.
They're still celebrating the Florida Panthers Stanley Cup down there anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's fine.
The pressure's off the Heat.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marada. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.